Blissful Broker. Welcome back for another mini workshop as we continue to build out your executive functioning skill set. I am determined to help you scale more sustainably so that you do not burn out and so that you live a more meaningful life and run a more meaningful business that actually has you feeling fulfilled rather than just, oh, I don't know, driving yourself crazy working 80 hours a week. Who needs that? Right? So today I'm really, really proud of you for showing up because that means that you're willing to take about accountability, you're willing to admit some things to yourself, and you're motivated. You're serious about leveling up your self-discipline. And maybe this is something that you have struggled with forever. Maybe it's a horse you've fallen off for a little while and you're looking to get back on. Regardless, I need to start off today by letting you know no guilt and no shame allowed here. Okay, there's no judgment. This is normal. The longer that you are in business with and for yourself, the more likely it is that you're going to struggle at some point with discipline. And I also want to start off by really mentioning and making note of the title that I chose very intentionally, which starts with the word practicing. That means there is no pressure to be perfect here. And we have the tendency to start trying to tie those things together. But in order for you to be successful here with this, it's very important that you are not applying too much pressure to yourself, because ultimately what that's going to do is install too many negative emotions around a new habit that we're trying to install, or new habits, right? And that's going to make it just impossible, or at least that much harder for you to be successful here, and that much more painful of a process. And this is called Blissful Broker. I don't know if you caught on to that. I'm not here trying to teach you how to scale and be miserable the whole time, right? So ultimately, I want you to be more blissful in your business. That's what we're doing here. So as we go in, I just want to make sure that we have the right mindset, that we are practicing here. Okay, there is no pressure for anything to be perfect. As always, I'm Sarah Layton, your instructor today. I have been a real estate content writer, content marketing strategist, and brand developer for a little more than a decade. Before that, I worked in the real estate industry in a variety of different jobs, including title, law, property management, and residential. So to say that I know a thing about real estate is quite the understatement. I am also the most published woman on the planet on the topic of real estate, as I have been a ghost writer and producer for many of the top brokers in the world, as well as the training programs that you have known and loved for years from some of your top favorite coaches and schools. So now I am stepping out from behind the laptop and actually showing up on screen and sharing some of my own curriculum based on my own experiences. And everything in this series is backed by the counselors and the therapists that I use to certify the curriculum. So this is nothing that I'm just making up here. I've actually brought in partners to make sure that everything is in alignment with best mental health practices, because that is a very important part of our mission and our journey here. And if you're looking for some additional community and accountability partners and just like-minded people that are in this industry and going through the same things and focused on the same things as you right now, then I invite you to head on over to bestrealestatewriter.com/groups to see which communities doors are open right now. They're not all open all the time. Of course, you can join a wait list and probably pick up some goodies for doing so. But I'd love to have you in there engaging with all of us. Okay, so let's talk about practicing self-discipline. Practicing. So in terms of task initiation and sort of avoiding procrastination, that's really where self-discipline kind of comes in, right? Is doing the things we don't feel like doing, right? And I say that actually intentionally because let's be honest, there is a lot of messaging out there, including some of my own, around maintaining like our energy levels and our mood levels, and especially for women, right? A lot of this depends on our cycle, which actually scientifically means it also depends on the lunar cycle, gravity. There's a whole thing. But ultimately, that means our energy and our mood levels vary quite a bit, which is why there is another mini workshop on, maintaining our energy and mood levels. But that aside, like, there is tons of messaging out there about like listening to your body and balance and all of those things, and they're valid, right? But at the same time, we can, as we know, like use them as excuses to avoid the discipline that we know would make all of the difference in the goals that are meaningful to us. I'm not talking about applying discipline as a way to be a slave driver to yourself, to just like be endlessly like ticking off task boxes for the sake of just busy work. It's not what we're doing here at all. That is a surefire way to burn out, and it's a little red flaggy that your self-worth is tied way too closely to your work. And that's not judgment, it's just a little notice of something that you might want to become mindful of, and start rewriting some new stories for yourself so that you can feel better about yourself in your own skin and in your work, ultimately making you that much more productive and that much easier for you to practice this self-discipline. Everything's connected. Okay, so why is this skill so important? Well, self-discipline is going to help you stay committed to those goals, the ones that really do mean something to you in your life story and in your business. The ones that, it's going to help you to basically follow through and follow up. So if you are someone that struggles with that and has a story that they tell themselves about that, and hear yourself saying that out loud, that you're really good at getting leads, but you struggle to follow through or follow up, ding, 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 you belong here. And maybe you just need some help avoiding distractions. And this is, when we're talking about neurodivergency and stuff, this is not specific to ADHD. And I want to make a note of that. That's really important. But if you don't struggle with neurodivergency, but you do struggle with allowing yourself to become distracted, and you want to work on that, then you can absolutely deploy what we're doing here. Because ultimately, our goal is, through this practice, just like a yoga practice, is to build consistency even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't feel motivated. That's what this is all about. So you might struggle with this if you do easily get distracted and lose focus. Maybe that's because you're that person with 10 billion ideas at all times, and it's hard for you to focus on one because you just always got another amazing idea, and they have you like constantly be bopping from one to the next. I see you. I love you. Maybe you set goals but don't follow through. Maybe you wait to start doing something until you feel motivated instead of relying on habits and routines. Okay, and that's why there's another mini workshop on setting and following and committing to routines. All of it's connected. And maybe you struggle just to stay consistent to those routines, as I'm saying, so no shame in that. That's why I often, you'll hear me talk about rituals when you have a troubled relationship with routines. You can start by just installing a routine time to swap out different rituals if you're someone that gets bored with them or different things like that. Topic for another day, but feel free to ask me about it in the comments. And if we really get going in the conversation about it, I'll definitely record a whole other mini workshop just on rituals versus routines. So let me know. And don't forget to check out the setting and following routines mini workshop. Okay. So it's time for our activity. In this workshop, we are going to strengthen your self-discipline muscles. This is another analogy I like to use anytime that we're coming at a new activity from the mindset of practice, not perfection. And I have a huge new series coming out very soon all about perfectionism because it is rampant in the real estate industry and it's actually plaguing probably, I would guess, like 7 out of the 10 attendees in my live workshops and stuff like report struggling with perfectionism at this point, which is not really that surprising to me, but no one's talking about it. So if you are enjoying this series, then you're gonna love the perfectionism series because it's very similar, but we're basically breaking down in each individual piece like these, like the aspects that go into perfectionism, and it's going to be really, really powerful. I think you're going to love it. So looking forward to seeing you in there. But today, our activity in strengthening our discipline muscles, just like working out in the gym, we're gonna choose one small self-discipline habit that we want to practice over the next week. And maybe you want to deploy an accountability partner, which is another one of the mini workshops you can check out, and kind of like layer these and use them both together this week. That's certainly an option. But if you need to just keep it simple and keep things private and just to yourself for right now, if that feels safer and softer, no shame in that game. Just start this week with this activity. So you're going to choose the habit that you want to strengthen. You're going to leave yourself just a little check for each day. And you can also create a Google sheet, that would have like a box for each day of the week if you want. And then just kind of take some notes. Roses and thorns are always an easy way to go. Like what's going well, what's not going well. How can we make it better? What can we do to improve this? Let's be intentional and practice critical thinking around what we're doing each day so that we can optimize our effort and minimize the amount of energy that we need to expel in order to reach our goals so that we can get back to enjoying our lives. Because even though we love our businesses, let's be honest, we could all use a little bit more time to just get outside and connect with our people and have fun in our hobbies and explore new things, right? But before we do that, we gotta finish our action plan, right? Okay, so your action plan for developing your self-discipline strategy through practice. Okay, so we're going to write out what is the one habit that you're going to commit to practicing daily. Commit to yourself. If you're married, then I know you're capable of making a commitment. So, But if you're a human at this point, if you're an adult at this point, I know that you've made a commitment before and followed through with something. Use that as evidence. Okay? What's one habit? And it can be so super teeny. Can be drinking one more glass of water every day. Rather than the like 8, which is a lot, to go from 0 to 8 all of a sudden. Maybe just one more glass of water each day. Like you get up every morning and before you even brush your teeth, just pound a glass of water. Something really small like that. And then over time, as you continue to work this strategy and to develop this self-discipline muscle through utilizing this strategy with each individual habit, that will build the self-confidence, right? That you are good at self-discipline, which will further strengthen your self-discipline muscles. And then you can start trying it on harder and more complex things, okay? But the key to your success is starting really small and simple with something that you absolutely can do, okay? And then, this is the secret sauce, I believe, in this whole thing, is right here. What are you going to do when you feel like quitting? We're getting really accountable with ourselves right here, right now. What are you going to do in that moment? You need to have a strategy in place. Otherwise, guess what? Probably going to quit, right? So we're done with winging it. We're getting intentional, and we're committing to a plan, to a strategy, or to a set of tools or strategies that we're going to use when we feel like quitting, okay? And big part of being successful is tracking our consistency. And that can be as small as just making a little check every day. It depends on how your brain works. We're giving ourselves a sticker or whatever the thing might be. But you need to have a plan for how you're going to track that consistency and keep this in the forefront of your mind. Okay? And then finally, our beloved reflection question. So I want to know, how is it that you can make self-discipline feel like a skill that you're developing rather than a punishment? Because it's not. It's not a punishment. It's not about pressure. It's not about performance. This is about helping you to actually extract more joy in your everyday life, relationships, and work and career. Okay, this is going to bleed into so many corners and aspects of your life. But it's not about how I say it's valuable. It's about how you recognize it to be valuable to yourself. And taking a moment right now before you go any further to actually put this into action and anchor the value of the time and the energy that you're investing into this discipline right here, right now, is going to go a long way to serve you. This worksheet is so important to your success. Just answering these 4 questions, okay, in order to develop your self-discipline strategy. I promise they will serve you for years and years and years. And don't be afraid to come back to them and alter them as needed, even if it's in pen, like it's not permanent. Like, we're practicing, we're developing the strategy, not naming a perfect one. Okay. So this is fluid. It's flexible. It's here for you to mold and manipulate as you grow and shift and change. Okay. But first and foremost, start small. Make your plan for what you're going to do for when you feel like quitting. Make sure you've got a plan for celebrating your small wins and tracking that consistency, and anchor the value of all of this with the self-reflection question. I can't wait to see you for our next mini workshop as you become a more blissful broker, installing these ever important executive skills that will absolutely make it a million times more possible for you to sustainably scale without burning out. I love you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.